evening, you're watching Estuary News. I'm Hugh Riches. In the headlines tonight, an investigation following a major fire in Scunthorpe, an elderly woman is attacked in Hornsea, and remembering lives lost at sea in Hull. And later in tonight's programme, I'll be talking to Luke Adams with the latest news from the City of Culture, and before that, Paula Smythe and Helen Sleight on inner child potential. An investigation has been launched into a fire in Scunthorpe yesterday. Emergency services were called to British Steel after a build-up of gas and an ignition at the Appleby coke ovens. 7 fire engines were deployed. British Steel is now trying to establish the cause of the incident. Nobody was seriously hurt. Police want to trace this man in connection to an attack on an elderly woman. The 89-year-old victim had her purse stolen while shopping in Heron Foods in Heddon in East Yorkshire today. He approached her in the shop and took her purse from her bag when she was distracted. The Chief Executive of Lincolnshire County Council is to step down. Tony McArdle will depart in the summer after 12 years in the job. He'll continue to work on key projects while a new chief is appointed. Mr McArdle said the time was right for a change. Today marks 50 years since the Hull triple trawler tragedy. 3 trawlers, the St Romanus, the Kingston Penydot and the Ross Cleveland, all sank within 3 weeks. The disaster claimed 58 lives, with only 1 survivor. Commemorations have been taking place in the city, including at the heart of Hull's fishing industry, Hessel Road, where a special wreath was laid to remember men lost at sea.
January 2018 marks 50 years since Hull's triple trawler tragedy. The sinking of 3 trawlers led to a nationally recognised campaign to improve safety standards on trawlers. Each year, the Hull Bullnose Heritage Group hold events in remembrance of the tragedy. However, this 50th year marks a particularly poignant period.
As you can see by the people that's attended today, they feel the same as what we do, that it was a tragedy that impacted all of this city and Hessel Road in particular. Now the thing is, there's people that will not be here today because even now, 50 years later, the memory is so raw that they cannot come to these events and think, well, this is just bringing everything back, from 50 years when they got that knock on the door to say, that your loved one isn't coming home again. And so we think it's very important to do what we do, and this is gatherings like this, and we will do that for each individual trawler of the triple trawler tragedy, plus the goal as well. It's been trying at times, but again, the thing is, being from the industry that we was from, it's never say die. Just keep going on until you achieve your goal. And this is what we will do, and we will do this for as long as possible. We would like some younger people to get involved with us, so hopefully, after this publicity, we'll get maybe young people that want to know more about, what the job entailed that we did. And, we do have a programme, the Hull Bullnose Heritage Group, of going around the schools and giving talks to young children, and even some of the young children we talk to, their grandfathers and great-grandfathers was involved in the industry. So, they still know, things that happened in the industry, even, young toddlers. So it's up to us to keep this going.
And a new performance telling the story of the triple trawler disaster takes place at Cardoma 94 in Hull this weekend. 12 Silk Handkerchiefs uses original songs and a multimedia show with a series of narrative links by Dr. Brian Lavery from his book The Headscarf Revolutionaries. It examines the disaster and subsequent campaign led by campaigner Lil Baloka. Local folk singer Sam Martin forms part of the lineup.
I think it's massively important to tell the story of the triple trawler tragedy. Last year in the City of Culture, there were 2 really good plays about Lil and what she did for the safety on the trawlers. And I think it's something that even still now is not nationally well known about. The fact that an estimated 6,000 men went from the ports of Hull and didn't come back. There's not many people in this city who haven't been touched by that. In some way, shape or form, someone's granddad, brother, cousin or whatever, it's affected loads of people, so I think it's one of the most important things that we need to remember, yeah.
And that performance is at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at Cardoman 94 on Alfred Gelder Street on Sunday. East Riding Council's Active Coast programme will return this year. A programme of events is planned for Easter and the summer. These include the Kite Festival and Pro Tour Bridlington. Last year's season saw more than 100 organised events and activities with 14,000 participants. A review panel is planned to help boost Hull's nighttime economy. It'll try to retain consumers in the city after normal trading hours. The panel will look at where improvements need to be made to create a more vibrant city centre. A statue of Britain's tallest man has been taken down in Market Weighton. William Giant Bradley was born in the town and lived there until his death at the age of 33 in 1820. He was 7 foot 9 inches tall. The statue is off to be repaired. Hull History Centre is to close temporarily. It's to make way for planned building works behind the scenes. Visitors who require access to the original archive material and historic documents will need to make an appointment. The library will remain open. The centre will be closed from the 26th of January until the 13th of March. Now, a Hull charity is appealing for funding to help it continue its support for adult survivors of sexual abuse. And I'm joined now by Paula Smythe, founder and director of Inner Child Potential, and Helen Sleight, who's a volunteer with the charity. Thanks, both of you, very much for coming in.
Thank you.
Paula, first of all, how did this charity come about? How did you find yourself finding it?
I used to work for a charity when I first started work as a counsellor, and they closed the doors back in 2009, and the clients that I was seeing at the time still needed some support. There was nowhere available at that point to take them, and so I at that point decided to set up a small service, which was basically myself offering some free support to people.
And you were funding this yourself, really? You were just doing this out of the charity of your own heart?
Yes, yes.
But then it's expanded a little bit, and you've got some volunteers, including you, Helen. How did you get involved?
Well, when I started my counselling training, we were told that we needed to find a placement to do our 100 hours of volunteering or practice. So got in touch with Paula and got my placement there. Absolutely loved it. So when I qualified, I decided to stay on and, yeah, just enjoying the experience.
And you say you loved it. I mean, I loved it because it's very satisfying work to be being so helpful, I would imagine. But it also must be quite fraught at times.
Yeah, it is. It's a very difficult and emotive subject for a lot of people, which makes it difficult for people to talk about it, which is why it's important that volunteers are able to come along, qualified counsellors, and work with them.
Paula, I'm no psychiatrist or psychologist or anything like that, but there is a temptation. If something absolutely horrible has happened to you, is it not tempting just to think that the best thing to do is forget about it? Don't revisit that.
It is at times, and some people do that very well. However, a lot of people will find that they have triggers, that they have the reminders. Your body holds memories too, and so even if you don't have a cognitive memory, actually your body will remind you of certain traumas. So part and parcel of the work is about healing the whole body.
And this counselling, as it were, this just sitting down and talking to somebody who understands what they're doing, it really does sort of improve the future of your life, as it were. You can get beyond these horrible crimes that have been committed against you and go back to living something like a happy life.
Yes, definitely.
Good.
Yes, it's not always an easy journey, but it's definitely a worthwhile journey for people, and the feedback we get is quite amazing.
How many counsellors do you have now?
So I now have about 6 counsellors on board. I've got another 8 counsellors that are ready and willing to do some work for me. Because I self-fund, obviously I am limited to how many rooms that I can hire. So at this point, without some further funding, actually, that I have to sort of watch how many people I take. So
if you've got the counsellors are all volunteers, and so I suppose it's rooms and a private place to talk, because that's your main expense, is it?
It is, yes. Because I've self-funded, I say basically I do this on a shoestring.
Okay, well, we'll talk about this that
Yes.
in a moment, Paula. Helen, where can people get in touch with you if they need to? If firstly they need to, if they could be helped by you. Secondly, if they could offer some help as counsellors, perhaps, and thirdly, if they could offer some money. How do you get in touch?
Yeah, well, we've got Paula's email address, which is psicp@outlook.com. Telephone number, which is 07952 624 552. And we also have a Facebook page, which is Inner Child Potential Hull, and then put that into the search and it will come up. We'd love people to get in touch with us. As we say, everything, the counselling itself is free. So don't be put off if you think that you can't afford it. We will see people. And definitely looking for volunteers.
And people who think they could be helped by this, they shouldn't be shy about coming forward, Paula. This is everybody welcome.
Absolutely, yes. There's no restrictions whatsoever in that respect. Yeah, anybody that's got anything that they feel will help.
And as we see even in the news today, this is probably a bigger problem than any of us are aware of, I'm afraid.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much for coming in. Thank you very much. Join me after the break. Jack will bring us a roundup of all the latest sporting news, and Luke Adams joins me on the sofa with the latest from the City of Culture. Welcome back. You're watching SG News. Still to come tonight in the sport with Jack. We'll hear from the managers of Grimsby, Scunthorpe and Hull City ahead of this weekend's games. And our very own Luke tells us what's happening in what is still the City of Culture. Rail passengers are expected to face further delays tomorrow. It's the third day of strike action by the RMT union in a dispute over driver-only trains. The union says proposals to modernise services are unsafe. Northern Rail is expected to run around 60% of its normal weekday timetable. North Lincolnshire Council has launched a well-being programme. It's designed to encourage people to get fit and lead healthier lifestyles in the new year. The 6 weeks Healthy and Active Passport scheme is open to anyone over the age of 18. People can find information on healthy living and how to prevent long-term conditions such as type 2 diabetes. An induction will take place next Wednesday from noon at the Central Community Centre on Lyndham Street in Scunthorpe. There's a call for new traders in Grimsby. North East Lincolnshire Council is running its Top Town Market Trader Incentive Scheme. New traders will receive 100% reduced rent for 12 weeks on new lines. The market has recently been renovated with a new event space and seating area. Now I'm joined now by Luke Adams, our very own Luke, with all the latest news from Hull. Not the ex-City of Culture, still the City of Culture.
It is, because as we said last year, Hull had its year in the spotlight in 2017, but it is a 4-year status. Hull is City of Culture until 2021, when the next City of Culture takes over.
Coventry.
That's right, Coventry. Well done to Coventry.
So I think we can cover the culture throughout the whole of the region we broadcast.
We are.
To
We're going to slightly tweak this little spot out with Hugh.
Okay.
But we are going to look at some Hull things to kick off the new year.
All right. Well, that seems fair
Happy
enough.
New Year, Hugh. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Have a good Christmas and New
I
Year.
had a lovely time. Thank you.
Excellent.
Hope you did too. Thanks for keeping my seat warm.
You're welcome.
What's coming up in Hull?
Okay, the Russian State Ballet of Siberia. Does it ring any bells with you?
No, I would have thought a Russian state ballet would be of the whole of Russia myself, but there you go. Maybe it's lost in translation.
Well, they are making their way to Hull, the Hull New Theatre, to perform 5 ballets, not at the same time, but they're going to be performing 5 ballets this month as part of a UK tour. Any prizes for guessing which particular ballets will be performed?
I'm afraid I feel rather ignorant about ballet. You better tell us what's coming up.
Okay, well, the top 5 are The Snow Maiden, Romeo and Juliet, Swan Lake, The Nutcracker and Cinderella.
They sound
Great
all
choices.
Very wintry, very Christmassy.
Very wintry, very
Christmassy. The season continues after
That's
the
right.
New Year.
Yeah.
Swan Lake I've seen, very catchy tune.
I've never seen ballet and I really want to go see the ballet, so
Bit of-
maybe I'll
bit
book
of-
some tickets
Bit
and
of
go to one
Tchaikovsky.
of these.
No,
Yeah.
I'm rather with you. For me, a tutu is a South African archbishop. But
all accompanied by live orchestra. And apparently, one of the dancers will be a gentleman by the name of Konstantinos Karavos, who was born and brought up in Hull.
Well, it's a very Yorkshire name, isn't it?
It is very much a local name.
Okay, so if you're going to go and see a Hellenian ballet dancer from the Russian state Siberian ballet, Hull New Theatre.
That's right, starting with The Snow Maiden, Hugh, on Tuesday the 23rd, culminating with Cinderella on the Saturday of that week, the 27th of January. But all these performances take place at 2:30 and 7:30 p.m.
Splendid. Okay, moving on.
Celebrating the fabulous Hull 2017 volunteers with 2 separate exhibitions, which also kick off later this month. So this is celebrating the passion and the spirit and the enthusiasm of the role the volunteers played in Hull's story.
So this is an exhibition
about Hull 2017.
About the people who put on Hull.
Yes.
Is this not a bit navel-gazing, Luke?
Possibly.
Is this not curating an exhibition about curators?
Possibly, but I do like the sound of the exhibition because I think it's nice that the volunteers get recognised for all their hard work, because of course they was given a lot of their time for free.
They did a magnificent job.
And a few of my professional acquaintances through my role here at Estuary were volunteers for City of Culture, and they said they had a great time. You know, they really enjoyed meeting people who came to Hull from all over the world, not just necessarily from this country.
They were wonderful hosts and very friendly, but
they were. So there's going to be, can I quickly say the names of the exhibitions? Well, the first one is Grains of Scandalous Blue, and that's an exhibition by an artist called Julia Vogel, which explores the scale of the volunteer programme using data and drawing on the artist's recent residency in Hull. And the second exhibition is called Big Picture by an artist called, excuse me, Hugh, Leo Francis. And they're taking place at the Humber Street Gallery from the 20th of January, running until round about the end of February.
Excellent. I hear there's going to be a bit of a farce.
Oh, yes, there is. Yes. A new play focused on Hull 2017.
Again, yes, right. We noticed that something was going on last year.
There's a theme, a pattern emerging here, my friend, yes.
Right.
A farce in 2 acts. Okay, so it's written by James Graham.
Always excellent.
And directed by the brilliant Mark Babish, who was the artistic director at Hull Truck Theatre.
Excellent.
And notably directed episodes of Coronation Street a few years ago.
I'm sure this is going to be a rather more innovative dramatic experience than that
Yes.
that might have been.
Yeah.
Hull Truck Theatre, of course, we've heard a great deal about what's going on there in the last few
Yeah.
years or so, but always dynamic, always innovative. But the farce is the City of Culture's sort of...
Yes, it's set in the headquarters of Hull 2017. In the present day, so January 2018 is the setting of the play.
And it's satirising its own
Basically,
performance.
yes. The ceremonial handover of...
Well, we know quite a lot of the people who were in that office, so it'll be nice to see, interesting to see how they're played.
Indeed.
Luke, until next week, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hugh.
Here is Jack with all the sports news.
We'll start with Hull City, and Tigers head coach Nigel Adkins was in a positive mood ahead of this weekend's home game against Reading. The Tigers haven't won any of their last 5 championship games, a run of form that's seen them fall to 21st in the league and only out of the relegation zone on goal difference. Despite this, City won away at Blackburn Rovers in the FA Cup last Saturday, and Adkins said he hopes to use the competition as a catalyst for his side.
I want to do really well in the Cup. I want that mentality of going to win every game of football that we go into. And obviously wins breed confidence as well, but I think our performances have been breeding confidence. You know, with the games have just been like very close 1-0s that have gone against us, but the performances have been good. And if we keep working on our performances, we have more of a chance of winning games, where it's haphazard if you're having, you know, a good performance and a poor performance or several poor performances. So we've been working very hard on that, and people understanding roles and responsibilities within the dynamic of the team. And that's been pleasing, that's been really, really good. And all being well, we keep doing that, we give ourselves more of an opportunity to take the chances we've been creating and keep the resilience and the clean sheets at the other end.
On to Scunthorpe United now, and the Iron returned to League One action this weekend after a 2-week break. United didn't play last weekend due to the FA Cup fixtures taking place, giving manager Graham Alexander more time to work with his players. Alexander said the club made good use of the extra time available to them.
It was a good opportunity just to give the players a couple of down days and just relax them a little bit while keeping them physically right. That was the most important thing over the first week after the Bury game. But this week we slowly built up, trying to, we've reintroduced a couple of boys back into training that have been injured, so that's good. And just going over, how we want to do things as we go forward. Because, training days are a real valuable time, you know, especially in the English game, because, you know, the games come thick and fast and you're either preparing or recovering from a game, and the actual days, you know, 1-2 days in between those times to train and work on specific things are few and far between. So when you get that opportunity, you have to make it count. So hopefully we've made it count, but we know we're getting to the end of the week now, preparing for Portsmouth, and you know, the buzz around the squad is ready for this game.
In Grimsby Town news, Mariners manager Russell Sleight has been speaking about new signing Charles Vernam. The 21-year-old striker arrived on a 6-month loan deal from Derby County earlier this week. He previously played under Sleight at Coventry and has only returned recently from a knee and shoulder injury. However, the Grimsby boss believes Vernam can begin to unlock his potential during his time at the club.
It wasn't so long ago, you know, probably about 12 months ago, Charles was the top goal scorer at under 23 level in Europe. He came to Coventry as a young player. Obviously he's still only, I think, 21. But unfortunately he picked up an injury. He popped his shoulder after about 10 days, 2 weeks at Coventry, having, you know, just he started a game, he'd been sub as well a couple of times, so he'd had a few appearances, so he didn't really get going there because of that injury. But you know, I've kept track on him, and he's a very clever player, finds little pockets, and he's technically sound, and he's got a good shot as well with both feet.
And that's all for today's sport. Back to Hugh in the studio.
Thank you, Jack. Just to note that the Culture of Fast and Two Acts, that's on at the Whole Truck Theatre from the 26th of January to the 17th of February. If you'd like to contact us, then Facebook and Twitter details are emerging, I expect. You can email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472 31 555. You can write to us to Estuary TV, DN34. What is it? DN34. That'll get here. Until tomorrow, good evening.